Welcome to the Mario Mancini show.
Yeah.
Okay, welcome back to the Mario Mancini show. And today I have Mario Mancini. How are you doing, man?
Good, man. Just came off a good day yesterday in Newark, New Jersey, and worked for Signature Inc. And it went really well. I signed a lot of things, and it was a good time, man. The time went quick, but it was a lot of fun. You have to watch the whole 4 hours because I mentioned you and Cheap Heat on here, and you might have missed that, but I did.
I think I'm about 15 minutes in.
Yeah.
I've got a bit to go.
Yeah. It was a good time.
Yeah. So, like, you've been pretty busy, like, and you got a lot of stuff coming up. Like, what else is coming up?
With Scott Wilder. I got a lot of stuff coming up with Scott Wilder. I have, I'm going to Morristown, New Jersey on May 7th for the 80s WrestleCon with Jake the Snake and DiBiase and Demolition and Jesse the Body Ventura and all the guys. And then I have May 15th, I'll be in Baltimore, Maryland. June 11th, I'll be in Louisville, Kentucky. In April, July, it might be Nashville, Tennessee. I have to look at my book, but yeah, we're going all over the place. Roma and myself with Scott Wilder, and I think Danny Davis is making this trip with us to Baltimore, so that should be fun in the car.
You might have a few more stories like you had with Vince McMahon walking in on you guys in bars and stuff like that.
Danny's a great guy to travel with, just great guy to be with. So really looking forward to that. But other than that, yeah, got a lot of stuff going on, and Paradise Alley is busy. I sewed up my first hardcore show for June 29th at the Cadillac Ranch in Southington, Connecticut. So we have H.C. Loke, we have Just Incredible.
Lovely.
Hopefully, we're hoping he shows up.
Let's not go there.
Just Incredible. We have Andrew Anderson and managed by Kevin Sullivan.
Okay.
So we got that. I also brought in Jesse Bell all the way from Kentucky for this show. But there's going to be a lot of color in that show. There's going to be a lot of blood flowing. So it's out of the realm of what Paradise Alley does. That's why I wanted to do it, because it's totally the opposite of what we do. Our shows are typically rated G. So this is my baby. I cultivated this whole thing and booked it and everything. And we're ready to go on June 29th.
You made sure you were retired before this one.
Oh yeah. No. My last match was November 13th, 2021. And that's it. If I have to burn my boots to convince these guys that I'm not working anymore, I will. No, that's all over for me. I don't mind a couple, if they want to bring me into the ring as the owner of Paradise Alley and there's some sort of conflict and somebody pushes me and I give them a whack, I don't mind doing that. But going in there and having the bell ring and doing 12 to 14 minutes, I'm not doing it.
With barbed wire and thumbtacks
no. My buddy just told me, Scott just told me, he goes, I'm getting a barbed wire bat and
Jesus.
some kendo sticks. He goes, so we should be all set, So um, it's a rowdy crowd there. If you lived closer and you came, you'd probably have a damn good time there because it's actually a bar. It's a
Oh,
bar with a huge room in the back. And they've had little people wrestling there. They've had all female card wrestling there, and according to the manager, these events he had to turn people from the door. He had to refuse. It was just jam packed. So hopefully that happens in Paradise Alley.
it's something that's actually kind of making a comeback here. And as I said to you off camera, like OTT Wrestling, I'm wearing the T-shirt there. That's our big company, and they've announced their first over 18 show in years. Actually, sold out very quickly. It's a Thursday night, 18 plus show. It's called Fuck PG. So that kind of that kind of I think market is still there. I think for wrestling fans that maybe associate with WWE as being too kid friendly or too
Right,
safe, maybe these days.
right,
So
right,
definitely a
right,
market.
right. Absolutely,
There'll
without a
be a
doubt.
lot of beer. There'll be a lot of beer drank that night, and I think the same as
Yeah,
your night.
and I was happy that the owners that particular night, Mario, everything will be in cups. I said,
Mhm.
yeah, please, thank you. I don't need anybody throwing bottles at my so everything will be served in cups. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
What one thing you're always asked about is debut matches. Debut matches. Let's talk about your debut match in the WWF. Was that Greg Valentine?
That was Greg Valentine, and Greg always loves this story. When I see him, he goes, "Tell me again. Tell me the story again."
Hmm.
So again, as I always plead with the fans here, what I tell is the truth. So when Dave Barbie, AJ Petrucci, Robbie Parliament, and myself were the first class out of that wrestling school in Orange, Tony Altomar, who used to be tag team partners with Lou Albano back in the 60s and worked for Titan Sports at the time, told us that we were all friends. But when we wrestle professionally, we're really going to apply this stuff. This was from October of 1983 to July of 1984. You're all friends in here, you're sparring. But when you go in there, you're really going to apply this stuff. Okay, I'm ready. So when I went to Poughkeepsie, New York, and I went downstairs, I was introduced to Chief Jay Strongbow.
Yeah.
First, I signed my contract. And then I was introduced to Chief Jay Strongbow. Tony Altomar's like, Mario, this is Chief Jay Strongbow. In my head, I'm going, shit. You know what I mean? Because, of
Yeah.
course, like every pro wrestler, we became pro wrestlers because we were fans. We were extreme fans. It was like the number one thing in our lives. I could remember
Yeah.
being 13 years old and having the cable box on top of TV that only had 11 buttons. And Monday night, I'd hit Madison Square Garden, and I would just sit there and wait. And then when I saw the picture of the garden going in circles, I'd get up and start jumping up and down. My mother would go, "What's wrong with?" I go, "They're showing the garden tonight." There are other times when they had a talk show on, and I'd throw a fit, and she'd go, "What's wrong?" I go, "They're not televising the garden tonight." So we were extreme fans. So Chief looks at me and goes, "Go talk to Valentine." And I go, "Why am I going to talk to him, Chief? I'm wrestling him. I'm not talking to him." I said, "Tell you what, Chief, I'm going to beat him too. I'm going to beat him. Believe me when I tell you I'm going to beat him." And he goes like this to Tony Alto. This is cool because I've told this story before, and I've really never been able to do the facial expressions.
Okay.
So Strongbow goes like this to Tony Altomar. He goes, And Tony's going. So I go, Chief, is this a title or non-title match? Because Valentine was the Intercontinental Champion. And he went, looked over at Tony Altomare again. And he goes, go talk to Valentine. I said, I'm not talking to him. And Tony put his arm around me and walked away. And he said, listen to me, listen to me. You've listened to me this whole time, right? Now, I'm 18 years and 6 weeks old. 18 years and 6 weeks old. He goes, you've listened to me this whole time, right? I go, yeah. He goes, go talk to Valentine. I said, okay. So I go up to Valentine, and I like using my 18-year-old voice, you know. And I go up to Valentine, and I go, hi, I'm Mario Mancini, you know. And he goes, how long you been working? I said, this is my first professional match. And Valentine gave me the lurch. You know. And he kind of went like this. He goes, okay. He goes, you keep your legs really loose. Because when I put that figure 4 on you, if your legs are stiff, you're going to hurt yourself. I'm not going to hurt you. And inside of me, I kept a poker face, but inside of me, I said, ooh, this is a setup. This is a setup. Are you kidding me? I was going to go in and fight this guy. So I resolve it quickly with myself, and I go, do I get to do anything? He goes, oh, you want a comeback? I went, yeah. He goes, I'll give you a comeback. After you submit to the figure 4, get off the canvas and come back to the dressing room. That's your comeback. And every time, I'll tell Valentine will be there on May 7th too. The minute he sees the whites of my eyes, he's going to go, tell me the story. Tell me the story again. Yeah. Tell me again. Yeah. I've told it to him 100 times. He can't stop hearing it. Loves it. And, you know, I was standing on top. Gorilla Monsoon didn't help the situation because he made me jump out of my boots. So he was in the gorilla position.
Of course.
And Tony Altomare was standing next to me for support. And I was standing next to Valentine on top of the stairs, and Lou Albano was standing next to Valentine, and Albano kept looking over at me going like that, you know, because I obviously, without me knowing, I was standing behind the door like this, you know. So the last match came in, and actually the thing before me was Wendy Richter cutting a live promo in the ring. And as she was walking out back to the dressing room, Monsoon goes, Mancini, go! And I what? Go to the ring. Because Gino, he just yelled at everybody. He didn't know how to talk. He just screamed. So I went out there, and Tony Altomare didn't tell me how to dress. So I had a blue and yellow amateur wrestling singlet on. I didn't know what under trunks were. So I actually had like tidy whities underneath my wrestling.
Yeah.
So I go in a corner, and Finkel goes, Mario Mancini. I said, yeah. He goes, Hoboken, New Jersey. I go, yeah. How much do you weigh? I go, 235. Okay. And that was it. That bell rang, and Valentine kicked the shit out of me, and that was my first match. I came back to the dressing room. He's like, yeah, good kid. You didn't give me the arm real easy, but your first match, you're a little stiff, because he was trying to get my arm and he was struggling to get my arm.
Yeah.
So then my second professional match was in August 9th, 1984 in West Warwick, Rhode Island against David Schultz. It was a house show and he broke my nose in 2 places.
So things went downhill pretty fast.
Yeah, real quick. Yeah, real quick. But Valentine likes to hear that story.
Yeah.
A lot.
You told me that story on the first podcast, and I wanted to hear it again myself.
Yeah. He loves to hear that story. I was asked yesterday. They said, what was it? I mean, when the first day you were there, because people get fascinated because there was no Ultimate Warrior, there was no Macho Man Randy Savage. There was none of that. There was no one like that there.
It was just pure wrestling.
It was even jobbers. It was me, AJ Petrucci, Dave Barbie. Robbie was there. He did his share of matches, but this guy was 6'6", enormous man.
Mm-hmm.
So he was jobbing to people that were a lot smaller than him, and that bothered the office.
Mm-hmm.
There was Johnny Rods, SD Jones, Jose Luis Rivera, Charlie Fulton, Iron Mike Sharp, and then the guys that were over, there was Beefcake, Hogan, Snuka, Ordnorf, Valentine, Tito Santana, Tony Atlas, the Wild Samoans, the Moondogs. You know what I mean? So it was very small. It was very small. And in fact, I tell the story of this guy with just, it looked like he had hay for hair. And I was standing there talking to Chief, and he had these pink trunks on, and he walked by Strongbow and I on the way to the men's room, and he had a big M&M on the back of his trunks. And I said, Chief, Mario Mancini said this. Chief, what's with the guy with my initials on his trunks? Who the hell is that? He goes, what do you care, kid? Mind your own business. Classic Strongbow. Classic Strongbow. What do you care, kid? Mind your own business. I go, no, Chief, he's got my initials on his trunk. I want to know who that is. He goes, that's Macho Man. I go, what the hell is Macho Man? Would you come from the Village people? Yo, Mario Mancini said that. And the guy ended up being, one of the biggest characters, biggest stars in wrestling history. There's the jobber going, hey, who's that guy with my initials on? It's like I had the right, But
I want to get your thoughts on what Bret Hart said recently about talent, that enhancement talent potentially going into the Hall of Fame.
Barry
And
Horowitz.
what did you think of that comment from Bret, or do you think that's something that could ever happen?
Yeah, I do think it can happen, and I think it should happen. Barry Horowitz was underused and underappreciated. Barry Horowitz was like another Bret Hart, only nobody got a chance to see that a lot of times. He was an absolute master technician in the ring. Master technician in the ring. He was a lot better than me. A lot better than me. He was an unbelievable wrestler. He really was. And I think it was pretty clever that pat on the back was pretty clever too. And Barry, there were guys like me struggling to get a break and trying to make it, you know what I mean? And hoping for that one lucky break. And then you had guys like Horowitz who expected that break and should have got it. And I think he made a couple of pay-per-views, I think. I've never made a pay-per-view in my life. So, Barry should be in the WWE Hall of Fame. He should be. He should be there based on his talent. He should be there. SD Jones should be there. Iron Mike Sharp should be there. Paul Roman should be there. Charlie Fulton should be there. Johnny Rodz is already there. He's the only one. Frank Williams should be there. Notice that I don't mention my name. You know what I mean? I don't. There's another guy, Charlie Fulton. He's an excellent wrestler. He was excellent. He was just an excellent wrestler. Mike Sharp, when he first came into the territory, he was over. Then he got reduced to an enhancement talent. But when he first came in, he was over. He was beating people with that leather forearm. Sal Balomo, he should be in there. You know what I mean? So there are a lot of guys that did a hell of a lot more than me that should be in there. I mean, Jose Luis Rivera should be in there. He should be in there for Jose Luis Rivera. He should be in there for Mac Rivera, and he should be in there for the Conquistadors. You know, he did a lot. Did a lot. So he definitely should be there. Do I think they should have a separate wing? If there was a building, have a separate wing for, I don't want to insult everybody because it evidently I'm the only one that doesn't like the term enhancement talent. Maurice, I just think of a Viagra. That's the first thing, enhancement talent. I'm like, hey, I'm a human Viagra. That's just the first thing that comes to my mind.
I think it's just a nicer way of saying the J word, isn't it?
I'd rather be called a jobber. I'd rather be called a jobber. So there are a lot of guys ahead of me that should be there. Like when I was a little kid, I used to watch little Steve King. You know what I mean? There's a ton of guys. Jose Estrada, that was one half of the Conquistadors. There's another guy. I mean, so many guys that came about that should be in there. And I'm honored when people say, yeah, you should throw Mario in there too. I wouldn't turn it down. You know what I mean? I wouldn't say, oh, no, not me. But there's a lot of guys. There's a lot of guys that should be in there before me. And you notice that there is one, again, not to insult anybody, enhancement talent that stands out more than probably anybody else. But his name isn't coming out of my mouth. No way.
Yeah.
No way.
I think I know. But if you look at the fucking Hall of Fame, though, like Donald Trump is in it, like there's a celebrity wing, that's a bit of a piss take.
Well, yeah. I mean, I like to compare it to, not that we're females, but I like to compare it to the Baseball Hall of Fame, where they have a wing for all the famous baseball players that got inducted in the Hall of Fame. And then there's a little a side display of when everybody went to World War II and the Women's League started up. And they're all inducted in the Hall of Fame. You know what I mean? The Baseball Hall of Fame. So there certainly should be a wing for that, for the lack of a better term, because there's not a building. I mean, you got a double threat with Danny Davis. He was a referee, and he was Dangerous Danny Davis. I mean, you look at guys like Danny Davis, Hebner, Joey Morella. These guys, these guys deserve to go in there too. I mean, if you're going to make a Hall of Fame, you know, one person just doesn't make up the wrestling business.
Yeah.
It takes a whole company. You know what I mean? Now somebody could go, all right, Mario, what ring guy are you going to, you know, who put up the ring the most years? You're going to put him in you know, I know there's a cutoff somewhere. But for the integral parts, just like, you know, baseball, you know, people have been inducted as managers. You know, people have been inducted as players, umpires. You know what I mean? So it's all collective. You know, someday maybe I'll be dead. I don't know. Maybe Vince will be dead by then too. But I think all these guys will get their due one day. And you know what? I think the fans would really, really enjoy it. I think the fans would really like it because it's like, you know, I'm proud when somebody comes up to my table and just they stand there, Maurice, and they'll smile at me. And I'll go,
I
hi.
remember.
I go, hi, nice to meet you. And he goes, you're my childhood. I go, well, I appreciate that. He goes, every Saturday morning, Mario Mancini, every Saturday morning. And I go, I hope you didn't get up to get a second bowl of cereal because you missed it. You know what I mean? You know, I embrace it. Like I embrace it. It's like I came up with an idea for Scott Wilder and these shows, and Scott had to say 6 times, Mario, are you sure you want to do this? And he just kept going, Mario, are you positive that you want to do this? And I went, yeah, why not? So he's bringing a yoga mat, okay, and for a certain amount of money, it's not a ridiculous amount of money. It's $40. All right, his assistant that he brings with him will have a striped referee shirt on, and for $40, I'll lay on the yoga mat, and you can cover me. You can cover me, and the referee will be like this, and they'll take the picture while he's in the middle of his 3 count, and you get a certificate that says I beat Mario Mancini. You know what I mean? I'll job out. Yeah, I'll job out to you. You know what I mean? And I came up with that. So I presented it to Scott, and he's like, I don't know if I want to do that. I go, why not? I don't know, Mario. It sounds kind of. I go, why not? Are you sure you want to do something like that? I went, yeah. He goes, Mario, are you positive you want to do that? I'm like, am I degrading myself or something? I go, what did I do in my career? I like won 3 matches. One was because I tagged with Sweet Hansen. The other match I won is because the guys their plane was an hour late and they had to throw an extra match. I walked into the New Haven Coliseum with Gino Carabello, and Arnold Scola went, oh, Mario. I go, Arnie, what's wrong? We came in here to just bullshit and have fun with the guys. And we're looking around. He goes, they're all going to be late. They're all on the same plane. He goes, I need 30 minutes. And I went, okay, I could give you, what the hell? I was 20 years old. I said, yeah, I can give you 30. And he goes, what do you have for a finish? And, you know, inside my body, I went, ooh. I said, I have a reverse flying body press off the second rope. He goes, use it. I said, okay. And the real sad part about that is I did the rounds in my house. You want to go to the show tonight? Are you booked? I go, no. Nah, I don't want to go. Everybody said no. Everyone. When Howard Finkel announced me as the winner of that match, I was 4 feet away from him. I couldn't even hear him announce my name. The place was shaking because I lived 20 minutes down the road. So the place was shaking. And that's why my Wikipedia really pisses me off. And believe it or not, I was able to change it one time.
Yeah, you can change them.
And I guess the author went in and knocked it out because it said, I won a match in the New Haven Coliseum in front of a disinterested crowd. I beg to differ. That place
hometown.
Oh yeah, place exploded. So what am I doing here? Am I doing, you know, am I doing anything I didn't do when I was in the business? It's like when I presented my doll to Vince McMahon, he actually loved the idea, never made it, but he had a sour puss on his face, and he's like, All right, Mario. I go, my doll's special. He goes, what's so special about your doll? I go, my doll comes with 2 paramedics, a stretcher, and an ambulance. And he went, I like that. I like that. I go, to naked. I go, have Bundy go over on me, the Bundy doll go over him. The kids will put me on the stretcher and carry me away.
And now my kid has got an ambulance with a stretcher that comes out of it. A WWE Slam ambulance. More royalties.
And he said, I like that, Mario. I like that, Mario. I said, fantastic, Caesar. You never made it. You never made it.
Do you remember the first time you talked to him?
Yeah, it was unfortunate. Yeah, I do. Clearly.
Okay.
My guy who trained me, like I said, worked for the office, and he was a head of concessions. And he took some liberties with the concessions, and he got caught.
Okay.
And he got fired. So now he trained me. I'm his guy. I'm his boy. So now I go to TV, and I'm like really nervous. So I waited for Vince to come down, and I said, excuse me, Mr. McMahon, can I talk to you? And he said, sure, Mario. And we went over in the corner in the dressing room alone. And I said, listen, I'm not a thief. I said, I'm the last of 6 kids. My mother and father didn't raise me like that. They raised me to earn everything I get. I'm not a thief, Mr. McMahon. I don't want to be guilty by association, please. And he put his hand on my shoulder and he says, you're okay. And I said, okay, all right. And I was. And that was the first interaction I ever had with him. The second interaction was on Tuesday Night Titans. So,
what happened there?
Well, I did the show Tuesday Night Titans, and he interviewed myself, Paul Roma, and another gentleman that was on the panel with us, and after we were done with the whole show, he's like, well, the set stayed together. And I looked at Roma and I said, if he wanted us to rip the stage with the set, I would have done it in a minute. He goes, me too. I go, I didn't know he wanted that, So, this is going to be really interesting on May 7th because, there are a lot of the boys are going to be there and some other people are going to be there.
Funny enough, like my 7th point here on this piece of paper I have, I don't know if you can see it. Probably too bright. Oh, there we go. Can you see it? Bust-ups.
Bust-ups.
Yeah. Any good bust-up stories from back in the day? They don't have to involve you. Like, have you ever seen anyone angry backstage over something that went wrong in a match or anything that springs to mind?
The first experience I ever had was watching David Schultz shoot on the carpet in the dressing room on Hulk Hogan. Wow. They were playing around. It wasn't serious, but David had him pretty wrapped. And Hogan was going, let me go, let me up, David, let me up. So that was the first thing. The second I saw was in Canada. There was a guy from my wrestling school. It was still Tony Altomar's wrestling school, but the wrestling school I came from. His name was John Rizzo. Hell of a nice guy. And he was tag team partners with a guy named Jerry Adams. Both of them were gentlemen. Very, very nice guys. Nice guys. John was very rotund. Very, like, we learned how to wrestle in a 16-foot ring. And, he would take 10 steps to hit the ropes, where I take 3, he was very round. And he worked with the Junkyard Dog in Canada. And Dog gave him the thump. And at that time, he was at the end of his match, he was dancing to Another One Bites the Dust. You know, he'd hold the top rope and start dancing. He'd grab somebody from the crowd to dance with him. And while he was doing his dance, Rizzo got up, left the ring, and came back to the dressing room.
Okay.
And when JY went back to the dressing room, he promptly broke his nose.
Wow.
And he said, "You never get up from that fucking canvas until I leave first. You never get up until I leave first. You stay there until I leave." That was the second one. I was not there for the Jacques Rougeau incident or the retaliation.
Mm-hmm.
I also was not there for the Coco Beware incident with Roma.
Yeah, I only found out about that recently. Yeah, I was.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah.
talk to Paul someday, and we'll get to the bottom of that one. I'm sure.
Yeah,
I'm sure he's never been asked before.
yeah. So there was that. I personally was involved. I did something really stupid, really dumb, and I was told it was okay. Again, I'm like 19 years old, 20 years old, and they're like, no, it's okay. I'm like, I don't think it is. No, it's fine. And when I got the TV taping, the Dynamite Kid just smacked the living snot out of me in front of everybody. Just wailed on me. So I was doing a show. I was doing an independent show. So I called the office and said, listen, the guy who trained me is partners with this promoter in Avon, Connecticut, and they're running the show. Is it okay if I work it? And they're like, yeah, Mario, it's okay. My father used to watch Matilda when between TV tapings. So I would take Matilda home with me and he would care for her. And they weren't home. And Tony called me and goes, when you leaving? I said, I can't leave until my parents get home. You know what I mean? The dog's here. You're going to be late. I go, Tony, I can't leave until my parents come home, you know, to watch the dog. He goes, bring the dog. I said, I really don't think it's a good idea to bring the dog. He goes, just bring the dog. It's no big deal. I brought Matilda to the show. Davey said, hey, Mario, I want to talk to you. I need to ask you a few questions. Tommy came right up, said nothing, and just went, boom. I knew I was wrong. I took it. They walked away, and I walked away. That was it.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a strange business, isn't it?
It wasn't good, Maurice, either, because it was like those bitch slaps. It was.
Yeah.
I would have rather he punched me in the face. It wasn't good either because there were those bitch slaps. And really, I wanted to jump so bad, but I said, if I do that, then I'm dead. Everybody's going to jump on me because that's why Roma didn't hit Coco back, because he knew he would get. See, if you hurt or fight a guy that's over and you're not over,
you're gone.
So I took the licks, and God forgive me. God, I hope he does. When I saw that biography or whatever it was, and I saw the shape Tommy was in, I was like, all I remembered were those two whacks to my face. That's all I remembered. So I was like,
does anyone spring to mind for you that, I know like the business was taken very seriously back then, much more than it is now with kayfabe and stuff like that. But is there anyone that springs to mind for you that just lived the character all the time? Like, it was just, I am this wrestler and this is who I am in real life. This is who I am 24/7. Now, I'm not talking about like The Undertaker with his disguises and things like that. I'm just talking about mentality.
There's one guy, and there's only one that sticks out and will always stick out. And any wrestler that was there with me that watches this podcast is going to shake their head like a bobblehead and go, yep. And that was Randy Savage. That was Randy Savage.
Yeah. Do you have any examples of that?
I missed his debut match by one match. I was the second guy he worked with. I missed his debut by one match. So Maurice, I'm back there with him, and he goes, I'm going to throw you out of the ring, and you're going to get up, and I'm going to give you a double axe handle on your back. I'm like, okay. He goes, it doesn't matter where you're bent over, I'll hit you with it. I'm like, okay, this guy doesn't have a different voice. I said, okay. So he goes, you know the finish, the elbow, get up and I'll give you the elbow. It's on YouTube. So he does something to me and he goes to the top rope. I got up. And I was standing there. And he came down with a double axe handle on my head and he went, stay down. I went, okay. And he went back up and gave me the elbow. So now the match is over and we go back and he goes, brother, why did you get up like that? I go, Randy, you told me, well, get up and you're going to give me the elbow. He goes, I'm getting up to the top rope. I go, I thought it meant for me to get up. He goes, no. So he really, he really lived it. He really did. The one that did the least, I saw this one time and I went, wow. I said, that's incredible. So I used to watch the promos. I was actually there in person, sitting on the floor with my back against the wall when Jimmy Hellwig said, I will be victorious because I am the Dingo Warrior. I am the Ultimate Warrior. And Vincent, oh, what'd you just say? He goes, what? He goes, you're the Ultimate Warrior? He said, yeah. He goes, I like that. We're going with that. We're dropping the Dingo. We're going with the Ultimate Warrior. I was sitting right there.
Wow.
So Hogan was sitting in his room with his legs out straight in a chair, with his head up against the wall, with his eyes closed like this.
Yeah.
He said, All-Star promo. He got up. He grabbed the belt. The belt was by his side. The belt was dragging on the floor. He was walking like 3 miles an hour. He gets in front of the camera. The red light comes on. He goes, let me tell you something, brother. Blah, 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 blah. Goes and all this stuff. And then they go like this and he cut. And he slumped. He took the belt off his seat. It was hitting the floor, walking 3 miles an hour back to his room, sat back down. Like that, I went, wow, man. Wow, that dude's tired. I'd say Jake a little bit because Jake was just cool.
Yeah. Even to this day, he just seems cool.
Yeah, Jake was just cool. So Jake cutting a promo, would be just like, sitting there talking to him. He'd make his point. He'd raise that eyebrow. He'd guy like that. Wayne Ferris, that's his real voice. He didn't have to put on a Southern accent. That's actually how he talks. Real funny guy. Real funny guy. So these I'd say the one that is the most of his character was Randy Savage all the way.
Yeah. And did you ever hear him talking in a different voice apart from that one?
No.
So you reckon that was his real voice? Or else he's the
tell,
best actor ever?
He would tell Elizabeth, all the stories are true. He'd come out and if she come out behind him, you go, get back in there. Get back in there. I'll get you later. You know what I mean? It was like that was who he was.
Yeah, because I've never heard a voice like his though, ever.
Yeah. I mean, there's another guy out there, Macho Man, MOTCH-O-MAN.
I've had him on the show.
He's a dead ringer.
Yeah, man, he's really good.
Oh, he's a dead ringer, man. Gave me chills. He was supposed to be there on May 7th, but something got screwed up. But he's a dead ringer. So yeah,
Used to be a pro wrestler himself.
Yeah. Of course, Sheik wasn't like anything he was on camera, and neither was Nikolai. I mean, there was one Christmas. It was like a week before Christmas, and I was on the payphone calling home, and Nikolai was walking by me, and I go, "We're seeing my mother on the phone." I put the phone in. I go, "Seeing my mother on the phone." So he took the phone and started singing the Ave Maria to her, right? And then he gave me the phone back, and she goes, "Who was that?" I go, "Nikolai Volkov." She goes, "Oh my God." My family always used to get a blast, because it'd be Christmas Eve, and they waited for it every Christmas Eve after it happened the first time. The phone would ring, and my brother would go, "Hold on," and he'd look at me, and I go, "Who is he?" He'd go, "Chief J Strongbow's on the phone for you." I'm like, "All right, calm down. It's okay." You know what I mean? So they get on the phone. Hey, Merry Christmas, kid. So yeah, there weren't a lot of guys that were true to their character like Randy Savage.
Yeah. If I was to ask you a question, what is your proudest moment in your wrestling career? What would the answer be to that? Or have we touched on it earlier with that match in the hometown?
Probably my proudest moment in wrestling was being inducted into the New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, Joe Bruin's New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, because I had no business being there. So let me give you the names, right? Davey Boy Smith.
Mm-hmm.
This is the class. Davey Boy Smith, Greg Valentine, Jim the Anvil Neidhart, Harley Race, Mario Mancini. One name doesn't exactly match that list, but that was the class, along with Jose Luis Rivera. But there I was up in a question and answer. It was a very intimate question and answer panel that fans bought an extra ticket for. Howard Finkel emceed it, and he said, "Listen, you can ask them anything you want." He goes, "But I'm going to be the judge whether that question gets through to them or not. It has to go get by me first, in case somebody did something stupid,
Yeah.
So I was sitting up there on the panel next to Tito Santana, and Harley Race was next to Tito, and then Matt Stryker was to the right of me. Davey Boy Smith's wife was to the right of him, and then Valentine was on the right of her. And Maurice, I was sitting up there going, "Why am I up here? I shouldn't. There's no way I should be sitting up here." But that's the first time that story came out. That's the first time it came out because a fan said, "I have a question for Mario Mancini." I had a lot of them too. And they go, "Your first match was against Paul Ordendorff." And I'm like, "No, that's incorrect. My first match was against that gentleman right over there, Greg Valentine." Mm-hmm. And Howard goes, "Would you like to elaborate on that night?" And I said, "Yep." And I told the story. And Valentine started busting a gut. And it's hard to get Valentine to bust a gut. Hard.
Yeah.
And Finkel looked at him and said, Greg, is that true what he just said? And while he's still laughing, he goes, it has to be. I said that to every jobber. About the comeback. I said that to every one of them. Get off of the canvas and come back to the dressing room. So it has to be true. So he was dying. Valentine was dying. So that was I guess I could say that was my proudest moment. Aside from that, it would be the special needs people that flagged me down after wrestling shows, people in wheelchairs and special needs people, that the guys would go out with towels over their head.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Looking down. Can't see who it is.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't do that. So when I walked out with my bag, just Mario, and I stopped for every single, I'd never blown by one autograph. Not one.
Mm-hmm.
So it was actually making their day, kind of putting a smile on their face, you know what I mean? So I was always, happy to do that, you know what I mean? As far as wrestling itself, you're right, that moment in New Haven Coliseum when I wrestled Tony Atlas in Madison Square Garden. I never thought I'd work in the Garden. You know what I mean? So I that was another one. Being at the war to settle the score, just holding back Roddy Piper, being there 7 months before I broke in. I was still in wrestling school because Tony Altomare worked for the office. He goes, "Hey kid, you want to take a ride to the Garden?" I said, "Yeah." And that was the night Sheik took the belt. Hogan took the belt from the Sheik. He goes, "Go out there and grab the Iron Sheik." I went, "What?" He goes, "Run out there and grab the Iron Sheik." So there I am on camera, grabbing the Iron Sheik in that same damn leisure suit from 1978. So I had some moments. So it's kind of weird. It's kind of like Forrest Gump. You know what I mean? Well, you know what I mean? Well, there's the night Hogan took the belt from the Sheik. Hey, it's not Mario.
This has been a great old contrast from the last podcast, because the last podcast was I don't care.
Well,
and I said we'll bring it back in a bit. I said this time, and we'll go through some more like happier moments.
Don't remind me of that stuff, because I still think I know I might be overthinking it, but I think that shot was for me. And Maurice, I had so many inboxes. Was he talking about you? Was he talking about you? Was he talking about you in Rochester? Well, he might have been talking about the second guy he worked with. Maybe he worked the second or third hour with somebody else, and that kid didn't know what he was doing, and he beat the snot out of him. Mm-hmm. Well, if you go on YouTube, my match was seamless. It was seamless against him. But I still think when he said, I did a squash match. Oh, enhancement talent. I honestly think that was for me. I really do. Because you could tell I made a big deal out of it. You know what I mean? I made a big deal out of it. So somebody got to him. I don't know who, but like I said, I don't care. But yeah, this was kind of different. And it was nice to have a couple laughs for a change.
Yeah.
And I'm sure angry Mario Mancini.
Yeah. The last time was like I didn't have anything planned, and you just said, "Right, I'm just going to do the talking, and let's just and now this time you didn't know what I was going to ask you, so look forward to the next one, probably next month again.
Yeah, listen, be more than happy to do it. Always happy to do Cheap Heat.
Yeah, because I remember, like, I seen a podcast with you it wasn't actually a visual one; it was an audio one. It was I can't remember. It's one of the ones on YouTube, but you always say like you have this memory. You say like you kind of remember everything.
Yeah.
That true?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
do.
that's
I
why
do.
I said with the first time you met Vince or this and that, and I have a few more questions about different people that you've fought throughout the years, which we'll get onto as we go along on the Mario
Yeah.
Mancini show.
Yeah. I do. Roma is always fascinated. Like, you know, if we're in a car or something, or we're at a show and they say, Roma, do you remember you and Jim Powers? And I'll go, I don't know, ask Mancini. He remembers everything. You know what I mean? So I've had that knack. It's also a curse because I also remember all 3 marriages from beginning to end too. So what was said, when it was said, where we were when it was said. I also, remember a lot of other things about the wrestling business that I don't know if the fans would appreciate if I really described everything on this show. Trying to maneuver a woman that broke her leg in a cast, that's a whole other show of the shenanigans of professional wrestling and the perks being on TV.
I actually think that we'll call the next show Shenanigans, and we'll go from there.
All right, whatever you want, Maurice. I'm here.
Man, it was an absolute pleasure again. Thanks so much.
My pleasure, man.
I'll talk to you soon.
You got it.